Welcome back to Trending Update USA. This is your trusted destination for the biggest stories in global sports, and I'm Stefan, bringing you the latest and most anticipated update from the world of tennis as all eyes turn toward Melbourne and the Australian Open 2026, where one of the sport's brightest stars, Coco Gauff, is once again preparing to step onto the hard courts with the weight of expectation, ambition, and unfinished business riding on every swing of her racket. As the tennis world counts down to the opening Grand Slam of the year, Coco Gauff's next match at the Australian Open 2026 has already become one of the most searched, most discussed, and most emotionally charged topics among fans, analysts, and former champions alike, with questions swirling around her projected opponents, TV schedule, match timing, potential results, and what this tournament could ultimately mean for the next chapter of her rapidly evolving career. Coco Gauff enters the Australian Open 2026 not just as a fan favorite, but as a fully established force in women's tennis, a player who is no longer measured by potential alone but by results, resilience, and her ability to deliver on the sport's biggest stages. The Melbourne hard courts have always carried a unique energy, and for Goff, the Australian Open represents both opportunity and challenge. In previous editions, she has shown flashes of brilliance in Australia, mixing fearless baseline power with improved court intelligence, yet the title itself has remained elusive. That reality adds another layer of intrigue to her next match, because every early round appearance now feels like the beginning of a much larger story, one that could define her entire 2026 season. As fans look ahead to Coco Gauff's next match at the Australian Open 2026, attention immediately turns to the official TV schedule and broadcast details, with global audiences eager to know when and where they can watch her in action. The Australian Open traditionally offers extensive international coverage, and Gauff's matches are almost always slotted into prime viewing windows due to her massive popularity in the United States and beyond. In the US, her matches are expected to be carried live across major sports networks and streaming platforms that hold Grand Slam rights, while international viewers will have access to regional broadcasters offering live coverage and on-demand replays. Match times in Melbourne often vary depending on draw placement, weather conditions, and court assignments, but one thing remains consistent: whenever Coco Gauff is scheduled to play, viewership numbers spike. The anticipation around Gauff's next match is amplified by the unpredictable nature of the Australian Open draw. Whether she opens against a seasoned veteran known for tactical consistency or a fearless young challenger with nothing to lose, the first few games of her campaign will be closely scrutinized. Analysts will be watching her serve rhythm, her movement on the hard court surface, and her mental composure under pressure, especially in the early rounds where unexpected upsets have historically reshaped the tournament landscape. For Coco Gauff, each point won or lost carries narrative weight, as fans search for signs that this could finally be her year in Melbourne. Scores and results at the Australian Open often tell only part of the story, and with Goff, that reality becomes even more apparent. Her matches frequently swing on momentum shifts, extended rallies, and moments where her athleticism allows her to turn defense into offense in breathtaking fashion. When her ground strokes are firing and her serve placement is sharp, she can dominate even the most experienced opponents. But tennis, particularly at a Grand Slam, is as much a mental battle as it is physical, and how she navigates tight sets, tiebreaks, and match points will be crucial in determining her overall run. The broader context of the Australian Open 2026 also plays a significant role in shaping expectations around Coco Gauff's next match. The women's field remains as deep and competitive as ever, with established champions, rising stars, and comeback stories all converging in Melbourne. Every match feels like a potential final, and there are no easy paths through the draw. This reality places even greater emphasis on preparation, adaptability, and match-to-match focus. For Goff, who has spoken openly in the past about learning to manage pressure and expectations, the opening rounds may be just as important as the later stages, setting the tone for her entire tournament. Fans tracking live scores during Coco Gauff's Australian Open matches know that her contests rarely unfold quietly. Social media lights up with every break of serve, every emotional fist pump, and every moment of adversity. Her ability to connect with fans, even in the heat of competition, has made her one of the most marketable and beloved figures in modern tennis. That connection only intensifies during Grand Slam events, where the stakes are higher and the global spotlight shines brighter. From a strategic standpoint, Coco Gauff's next match will likely showcase how far her game has evolved. Her improved serve consistency, enhanced net play, and greater willingness to mix up shot selection have transformed her into a more complete player. Opponents are now forced to adjust their game plans, knowing that simply targeting one weakness is no longer enough. At the Australian Open 2026, these tactical adjustments could be the difference between a routine win and a marathon battle under the Melbourne sun or lights. The Australian Open's unique conditions also factor heavily into match outcomes. The hard courts, often quicker than those at other Grand Slams, reward aggressive play but also demand physical endurance. Coco Gauff's fitness has long been one of her greatest strengths, allowing her to maintain intensity deep into matches. This endurance could prove critical in her next match, especially if she faces an opponent willing to extend rallies and test her patience. The heat, crowd noise, and long match durations all contribute to an environment where only the most mentally and physically prepared players thrive. As results from the early rounds begin to shape the tournament narrative, every Coco Gauff match becomes a measuring stick for her championship credentials. A straight sets win may signal dominance, while a hard-fought three-set victory could demonstrate resilience and growth. Either way, the outcome of her next match will feed into broader conversations about her title chances, her position in the WTA hierarchy, and her potential legacy within the sport. The Australian Open has a long history of producing defining moments, and Coco Gauff's journey through the 2026 edition has the potential to add another unforgettable chapter. Whether it's a breakout performance against the top seed or a gritty comeback that tests her limits, fans are bracing for drama, emotion, and elite-level tennis. Her matches are not just contests, they are events, drawing in casual viewers and hardcore fans alike. TV schedules, live scores, and match results will continue to update in real time as the tournament progresses, but the deeper story lies in how Coco Gauff handles the pressure of expectation and the opportunity to make history. Every Australian Open brings with it the promise of transformation, and for Goff, 2026 could represent a turning point, a moment where preparation meets possibility on one of tennis's grandest stages. As the tennis world watches closely, Coco Gauff's next match at the Australian Open 2026 stands as more than just another fixture on the calendar. It is a test of ambition, a showcase of growth, and a reminder of why she remains one of the most compelling athletes of her generation. From the first serve to the final point, her performance will echo far beyond Melbourne Park, shaping conversations, headlines, and expectations for the rest of the season and beyond. And as always, Trending Update USA will be right here, tracking every development, every scoreline, and every moment that matters, bringing you closer to the action and deeper into the stories that define the world of tennis. I'm Stefan, and this is Trending Update USA, where the game never stops and the spotlight never fades.